This is CBN NewsWatch.
Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining us for this first edition of CBN NewsWatch for Thursday, August 14th. I'm George Thomas. Today, as warnings of a possible recession grow, could a downturn next year hurt President Trump's chances for re-election? A fulfillment of biblical prophecy, an unusual occurrence near the Temple Mount in Jerusalem. The governor of Illinois signs a law requiring LGBT history to be taught in schools. And how you can live longer and stay healthy while you're doing it. These stories and more today on Newswatch. But we begin with the economy and the trade tensions with China. Stocks look to open lower today after a huge rally Tuesday after President Trump said the U.S. would postpone some of the tariffs on China. The president has long said it's time the U.S. stand up to China, but could the trade war between the two countries hurt his strong economy and maybe his chances for re-election? My colleague Amber Strong brings us that story.
If it truly is the economy, stupid, then the president and the Trump administration would say they're winning big time.
Our economic policy can be summed up in three very beautiful and simple words: jobs, jobs, jobs.
The unemployment rate is at its lowest in 50 years, and stocks are in the midst of one of the longest bull markets in history. Although things may look good for now, many Wall Street analysts are concerned about the warning signs ahead. Economists at Morgan Stanley and Bank of America warn of a possible recession, with fears of the president's back and forth with China as one of their top concerns. The president and his administration possibly calming those fears Tuesday, delaying plans for a 10% tariff on billions of dollars in Chinese goods on things like cell phones and laptops just ahead of the busy Christmas shopping season.
We had a very good talk yesterday with China, a very, very productive call. I was not sure whether or not they wanted to wait till a Democrat has a chance to get in. Hopefully that's not going to happen.
Speaking of the election, while a majority of Americans approve of the president's overall handling of the economy, his average approval rating still sits below 50%, making the economy a potential make or break ahead of 2020. Amber Strong, CBN News, Washington.
Thank you, Amber. Christian publishers are rejoicing after the Bible has been exempt from Trump's looming tariffs on Chinese goods. The 10% hike on $300 billion worth of Chinese goods will go into effect on September 1st, with China being the world's largest Bible publisher. Christian publishers in the U.S. have warned that the tariffs would have made some translations too costly to produce. The president and CEO of Lifeway Christian Resources, Ben Mandrell, told Christianity Today, quote, "The announcement has given us hope that the administration has heard our concern. Nevertheless, I am troubled that the word of God would ever be taken hostage in an international trade dispute. These past months have strengthened our resolve to get Bibles to the people who need them. Our mandate is built on obedience to Christ, regardless of any policy proposal from Washington, D.C. Flights have resumed today in Hong Kong's airport after violent protests. After weeks of the protests, China has sent strong signals that it could use its military to put them down, which could raise tensions even more with the United States. Charlene Aaron has a story.
Hong Kong's international airport has reopened after violent clashes between protesters and police Tuesday. The government getting an injunction forbidding protesters to block access after the airport was shut down for a second day. Hundreds of flights were canceled, stranding frustrated passengers.
All they know is they're angry, and nobody's listening.
10 weeks of protests have shaken the city. What began as protests of a law allowing criminal extraditions to China has escalated in massive calls for more democracy.
This may be the last resort for us as an effective movement for us to force the government to reply to our demands.
Beijing-appointed leader Carrie Lam issuing a plea for the protests to stop, saying protesters are putting the city on the path of no return. The fear is a crackdown by mainland China. Chinese leaders accuse the protesters of carrying out terrorist attacks. Anti-riot police and military trucks are carrying out exercises in a city near the border. And satellite photos spotted these military vehicles assembled in a stadium across the harbor. All this as the Trump administration is engaged in a trade war with China. U.S. markets responded positively Tuesday after the president backed off threats to impose tariffs on some Chinese goods in September. Products including smartphones, laptops, video games, even Bibles will stay tariff-free until December for the Christmas shopping season. While some fear the ongoing trade war could hurt the U.S. economy, Vice President Pence's chief of staff, Mark Short, said on CBN's Faith Nation program, the administration does not fear economic blowback.
On the trade front, the reality is that we don't see a recession. We do think that for decades, presidents and Republicans and Democrats alike have assumed if we trade with China, then you'll see other freedom reforms that happen. The reality is that it remains a communist regime that continues to persecute Christians. It's a communist regime that continues to steal intellectual property, that doesn't honor its trade deals. And this administration has decided it's about time that somebody stood up and began to change the dynamic.
If the Chinese do crack down on Hong Kong, it's likely to deliver a serious blow to the U.S.-China relationship. President Trump has said he hopes it resolves peacefully.
I hope it works out peacefully. Hope nobody gets hurt. I hope nobody gets killed.
But later he said in a tweet that Chinese forces are building up near the border, but urging everyone to be calm. Meanwhile, China is refusing 2 U.S. warships permission to dock in their port and have pushed back at criticism by U.S. lawmakers telling them to mind their own business and suggesting that the U.S. has a hand in the protests. Charlene Aaron, CBN News.
Thank you, Charlene. Now to the Middle East. A rare sighting of foxes near the Temple Mount in Jerusalem has many believing it is a fulfillment of biblical prophecy. Video posted online last week shows what appears to be several foxes walking near the Western Wall and the Temple Mount. For some Jews, a sighting of foxes near the Western Wall is a grave reminder of Lamentations 5:18, which reads in the King James Version, "Because of the mountain of Zion, which is desolate, the foxes walk upon it." Some translations use the word jackals instead of foxes. The Jerusalem Post also reports the foxes also present a glimmer of hope to the Jewish people. According to the Talmud, this particular passage in Lamentations is tied to a prophecy by the prophet Zechariah that the temple will one day be rebuilt. Back here in the United States, Illinois has passed a law requiring LGBT history to be taught in schools. It affects all schools, stipulating they include the role and contributions of lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transgender people in official textbooks. It also includes a section that allows the state education department to implement rules as necessary for the law to be enacted and, quote, to ensure the religious neutrality of the textbook block grant program. The law goes into effect on July 1st next year. Chick-fil-A is famous not only for its chicken, but staying closed on Sundays. And it looks like that's not going to change. Dan Cathy, the current head of the business, and his brother and sister wrote a covenant promising to be faithful to Christ's lordship in their lives. That includes not opening the restaurant on Sundays. Business Insider reports that Cathy children read the covenant to their father, Chick-fil-A founder Truett Cathy, back in 2000 after they had written it. Coming up, the fighting in Afghanistan has been called the longest war in America's history. Now, after 18 years, it may finally be ending, as diplomats are trying to work out a peace agreement. But Afghanistan will soon hold presidential elections, and its outlook is uncertain. We will have a look at what the future could hold when we come back.
We will move the American embassy to the eternal capital of the Jewish people, Jerusalem.
As the nations rage, you can stand with Israel.
History is being written, and I want to be a part of it.
Call 1-800-700-7000 and get to life.
This is our nature as a country.
Discover the untold story of how Israeli volunteers are changing the world.
We consider it our duty to reach out and help others around the world.
For a gift of $10 or more, you can own the acclaimed CBN documentary To Life.
To treat a human, no matter what he is, which religious he have, which color he is. This is what I'm doing.
Support Israel in their time of need. Get to Life, now available on DVD. Call 1-800-700-7000 or log on to CBN.com.
And I wish that other people throughout the world could see this side of Israel.
Orphans Promise is committed to loving and serving at-risk children, to helping keep families together, and to creating opportunities for strong and sustainable communities around the world. We're working in over 60 countries around the world, and with your help, we can do even more. There's an old African proverb I love that says, if you want to run fast, run alone. But if you want to run far, run together. At Orphans Promise, we want to run far so we can touch the lives of as many orphaned and vulnerable children as possible. But we don't want to go alone. We're out to change the world, one child, one family, one community at a time. Will you join us?
Welcome back to the CBN News Channel. The 18-year war in Afghanistan may be close to coming to a close as U.S. and Afghan diplomats negotiate for peace with the Taliban. But with rise in violence and presidential elections there less than a month away, no one is certain what Afghanistan will look like by the end of the year. My colleague Chuck Holton traveled to Kabul to find out.
This Afghan street market in the capital city of Kabul is bustling after Friday prayers. But there's a tension in the air anytime large groups of people are found in one place. The threat of suicide bombers is at an all-time high and are now an almost daily occurrence. In late July, the city suffered 3 car bombs in one day. Abdul Muhammad was nearby for one of them.
I was doing my duty inside our compound. I heard an explosion and I came out. I saw a couple of wounded victims on the ground near our office and over there. The target was 2 vehicles, but I don't know who was inside the vehicles.
Donald Trump says he's tired of hearing that the United States is losing the war in Afghanistan, and he says the American people feel the same way. And that's why the U.S. military has been having talks with our enemies, the Taliban, here in Afghanistan to try to come up with a ceasefire. But even while they're doing that, the Taliban has been stepping up attacks around Kabul, like the one that happened right here in front of Kabul University in mid-July. They killed more than 10 people. But if we've learned anything from the precipitous pullout that happened in 2011 in Iraq, it's that if we pull out too soon or in the wrong way, it could have serious consequences for the United States in the future. Over 17,000 coalition troops are still in the country, but their role has changed dramatically from direct action to one that's more focused on advise and assist. This means Afghan troops are doing the lion's share of the fighting and dying as well. While the U.S. has lost 12 soldiers this year, the Afghans regularly suffer over 100 soldiers killed in action in an average week. Another contributing factor to the uptick in violence we're seeing across Afghanistan right now are the upcoming presidential elections at the end of September. Back in July, there was a massive complex attack at this building behind me, which were the offices of the president's running mate, Ashraf Ghani, the president of Afghanistan, the incumbent. And it just shows that the Taliban is flexing its muscles in advance of that upcoming election. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo said in August that the solutions to Afghanistan's problems are diplomatic, not military, and that the U.S. is committed to working with the Afghan government to finally extricate our forces from the country.
President Trump has made very clear that his desire is that we develop a diplomatic resolution that permits us to reduce the resources that are located there in country while simultaneously ensuring that Afghanistan never again becomes a platform where a terror can strike the United States of America. Despite the recent increases in violence, things have gotten better in Afghanistan since I started coming here, at least back in 2007, 2008. You can look at factors like the infant mortality rate, which has gone way down. Gross domestic product is 5 times what it used to be. And life expectancy, which was only 43 years, is now in the mid-60s. So things are getting better, but the concern is that if the U.S. leaves precipitously, it could cause a lot of those gains to be reversed. But for the shoppers in this Afghan market, the best future they can hope for right now is to simply make it home to their families for one more day. From Kabul, Afghanistan, I'm Chuck Holton for CBN News.
Still ahead, we're going to switch gears and bring you an important story from the world of health news. Believe it or not, the fastest growing segment of the population today is people over 100 years old. But being old can be tough if you're not healthy. We'll hear from one expert who will tell you not only how to live longer, but stay in good shape as you age. That story in a moment.
I am Region's first ROTC graduate student.
When you give, smiles grow bigger. When you care, homes are happier. When you comfort, the hurt goes away. When we all come together to love, miracles happen.
Welcome back to the CBN News Channel. Believe it or not, people over the age of 100 are the fastest growing segment of the population. Right now, there are about 500,000 people over 100 worldwide. The United States has the most, with 72,000. But for those who aren't healthy, living to 100 could seem like a curse. As CBN Health reporter Laurie Johnson explains, you can take steps to not only live long, but live well at the same time.
Studies from the United Nations predict the world will have more than 3 million people age 100 or older in just 30 years. That's good news, unless many of that population suffer from declining health.
We base a lot of our behaviors thinking that this is what's going to happen to us. But in fact, that doesn't have to happen.
Expert on aging, Dr. Stephen Gundry knows what it takes to live a vibrant, disease-free life well into old age.
What we know about super old people who are thriving is that they don't become infirm, that they don't get cancer, that they don't get Alzheimer's. These people actually have the physiology, have the workings of a 50-year-old individual.
In his book, The Longevity Paradox, How to Die Young at a Ripe Old Age, Dr. Gundry zeroes in on the things that set healthy centenarians apart from their sicker counterparts. Topping the list, plenty of good bacteria in their intestines.
It's amazing. Again, when we look at 105-year-old people around the world, they carry the diverse gut microbiome of 30-year-old people.
Having enough of the right bacteria can prevent just about every type of disease, including inherited ones.
Whether we turn genes on or off with information, and that's called epigenetics or epigenomics, and it's that interplay with actually a lot of the material that comes from our microbiome telling our genes what to do.
Dr. Gundry says the key is avoiding processed foods because of the chemical ingredients, especially the pesticide glyphosate.
It's probably the biggest health problem that people are unaware of. It's in all of our products, all of our cereals, all of our breads, all of our crackers. A recent study of 35 oat products in the United States found glyphosate, including some very dangerous levels, in every one of the oat products, including many of our kids' cereals, including our granola.
Gundry says glyphosate can wipe out good bacteria and even cause a leaky gut.
You will actually make perforations in the wall of your gut, and bacterial particles and plant compounds and toxins will get right through the wall of your gut.
This can lead to migraines, chronic fatigue, and autoimmune diseases like celiac. In addition to eating right, robust old-timers also go without food altogether for long periods of time. Fasting a minimum of 12 hours a day can trigger the body to eliminate whatever hinders survival.
And so fasting, or intermittent fasting, gives us an opportunity to really get all the best cells all the time. And that's what we all want.
Another common characteristic of healthy centenarians is they take few drugs or none at all. While many people, such as diabetics, take specific medication, Gundry maintains healthier choices can even reverse that need.
I have yet to meet a type 2 diabetic who I can't get off of all medications by teaching them how to eat. I haven't met a person who takes a statin drug to lower cholesterol that I can't get off a statin once I teach them how to eat.
Dr. Gundry adds antibiotics and common painkillers can harm the gut microbiome, with even something like an antacid leading to other problems.
And so I see so many people with dementia and congestive heart failure who've been taking these drugs chronically.
Finally, exercise helps keep bodies working no matter how old a person is. It improves blood flow, particularly to the brain. Women who exercise routinely during their lifespan have a 90% reduction in Alzheimer's compared to women who don't. Muscles strengthen bones, preventing injury. Turns out walking against gravity, whether up or down, is especially good exercise because it works this area of the body, which contains most of our muscle mass. In fact, the 5 cities worldwide with the highest concentration of healthy centenarians are all very hilly. Those cities are in what's known as blue zones. The only one in America is Loma Linda, which means beautiful hill. This California city is not only home to the largest concentration of centenarians in the U.S., but also the largest concentration of Seventh-day Adventists. That denomination avoids processed food and drugs while embracing fasting and exercise. Years ago, Dr. Gundry practiced heart surgery in Loma Linda and was so inspired by the people here that he shifted his focus to teaching the rest of the world how to live strong to a ripe old age. Lori Johnson, CBN News.
Coming up, a look at what's coming up at the box office, including a series that chronicles the life of Jesus. Stay with us.
Wouldn't it be great if you could just hop on a plane and fly to a third world country and hand out food and medicine to the needy? And wouldn't it be great if some of those people came to know Jesus as their Savior because of your help? And wouldn't it be great if you could help out people like this all around the world every day? Wouldn't that make you feel great? And what if you could do all of this without having to leave your home or write monthly checks? Well, you can. Partner with CBN and you can help spread the gospel all around the world and make it a better place. And when you sign up for Pledge Express, your contribution will be deducted from your bank account every month automatically. It's a safe and simple way to make a difference. Plus, wouldn't it be great to get life-changing teachings every month from Pat and Gordon? When you sign up for Pledge Express, you'll save time and money, and you won't just sit around and watch the world go by. You'll help change it for the glory of God. Now, wouldn't that be great?
When you care, souls are set free. When you give, lives are made new. When you share, eternal life begins. When we all come together to love, miracles happen.
It has the power to influence weight loss, boost your immune system, and improve brain function.
We've seen an explosion of data on the role of the gut microbiome in health.
The free Build a Better Gut booklet reveals the latest information about the gut microbiome. You'll discover how your gut affects the rest of your health.
The gut microbiome has been linked to depression and cancer and heart disease.
Learn how to build a stronger, healthier gut.
The microbiome, if it's in good composition, are really protecting us all the time from more invasive things.
Get the Build a Better Gut booklet, free from the Christian Broadcasting Network. Call 1-800-700-7000 or go to cbn.com/buildabettergut.
You need to make sure that your microbes are working with you, not against you.
And if you order online, you'll get immediate access to the Build a Better Gut series, a digital copy of the booklet, and related bonus material. Build a Better Gut today. Call 1-800-700-7000 or go to cbn.com/buildabettergut for your free copy.
Welcome back to the CBN News Channel. Summer is winding down, but the heat continues to burn at the box office and in the entertainment world. So here's Ephraim Graham with a preview of what's coming up tonight on an all-new edition of Studio 5.
The Chosen is a series that chronicles the life of Jesus Christ. It's also the #1 crowdfunded media project in history. Studio 5 has an exclusive visit to the set just outside Dallas, and we're taking you along for this unforgettable first look.
Teacher, I have a question about the Messiah.
We are in Texas now shooting episodes 5 through 8. Episodes 1 through 4 covered several of the main characters before they encountered Christ.
What will you name him?
Jesus.
We will name him Jesus.
You can see more from The Chosen on tonight's Studio 5, along with a first look at 2 new family films, Dora and the Lost City of Gold and Angry Birds 2. Plus, you will see the sobering discovery rapper Lecrae makes when he traces his family history. That's all tonight on Studio 5 at 9:30 Eastern, right here on the CBN News Channel. Well, folks, that is it for today's first edition of NewsWatch. You can find more on the issues you care most about at cbnnews.com, and you can watch CBN News programs anytime on our CBN News Channel. Plus, why don't you tell us what you think about the stories you have seen here by emailing newswatch at cbn.com or talk to us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. From all of us here in the studio as well as in the control room, have a fantastic rest of your day. Goodbye and God bless.